Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on sportsnetusa.net. As always, I am Corey Neyland. Hello. Up top, you got Mark Pavlovich. Ed Ford is not on the screen on the ones and twos, making sure we're up tonight. And we are happy to be joined by and excited to be joined by Chuck Lyon, the Dean of Physical Education, Kinesiology, Athletics, and the Athletic Director at College of the Canyons. And Chuck, it's a joy to have you on. A lot to discuss. The COVID-19 wreaking havoc on community college athletics and the entire sports world. So we wanted to get you on, get your opinion on that. Talk a little bit about your background as well. You've had some big accomplishments at College of the Canyons, and so we wanted to get into that also. And to start it, Mark Pavlovich always has a first question, leads us into where we want to go. So Mark, where are we starting at tonight?
Well, first of all, Coach, nice to have you here. Corey Neyland and I, being the voices of Fullerton College football, have traveled up to your campus many times, taking that long journey. So the first thing that I thought about, which I always do, is look at the background. I need to know how you ended up at College of the Canyons. Did you come out of high school coaching and then somebody got you a job over there? Where did your journey begin to get you at the wonderful school you're at today?
Well, first of all, Mark, thanks for having me, Corey. It's a pleasure. Well, actually, I was a student athlete at College of the Canyons. College of the Canyons was founded in 1969. They had their first football season in 70, I believe, and I played on the 73 and 74 teams for Larry Reisbig. From there, I scholarshiped to Washington State and played up at Washington State. And then when I got done playing, I came back to Larry in 1977. And I said, Coach, I want to be a football coach. That's what I want to do. And he says, Chuck, we haven't got any money. I said, I don't want any money. I just want to coach. He said, you're hired. So I coached the first time. That was my first coaching job, was 1977 to 1981. And they dropped football at College of the Canyons in 1981. And then it was on hiatus until they started the program back up in 1998, and I was lucky enough to get that head coaching job. So College of the Canyons, for me, I've been around this campus a long time. I've been in this community a long time. It's a place that feels like home to me. As a student, as an adjunct professor, as a teacher, as an athletic director, and now as the dean and athletic director, it's been a great run for me at College of the Canyons, I got to tell you.
I'm going to follow up quickly, Corey, with another statement because, Coach, we know, like I said, broadcasters, we know the many great teams you have had there, but you were fortunate enough to be one of those coaches that coached a national championship team in 2004, state champions, and then national champions. So I've got to ask you about that 2004 team. Was that one of, or is it the best, most talented team that your school has had during its tenure playing community college football?
That's a tough question. We've been pretty fortunate here at College of Canyons football-wise. That 04 team, no doubt, had some great players on it, and we sprinkled a few of them in the NFL, and a lot of them. We were averaging 20 to 25 Division I scholarships a year for about 4 or 5 years straight, which is really a testament not only to the football at College of Canyons, but also to the academics at College of Canyons and just the program in general. And then, of course, when I left, Garrett Tujay took over, and he had some great seasons. And now Ted Iacinda, played last year, played in the Southern California final to get to the state. So we've been pretty good here for a long time. But I got to tell you, that 04 team, remember in those days you had to play in the South, you had to play 4 playoff games or 4 playoff games. Mm-hmm. We ended up 14-0, and since then nobody's going to do that again because nobody plays 14 games anymore.
Right.
It was a great run, I got to tell you. It was fun. It was a fun coaching here. In '98 when we got started, we went 7-3 in '98. I had 46 freshmen and 2 sophomores. And it's just a testament, really a testament to the college. You guys have been here, the college, the atmosphere, the community. Our chancellor, Dr. Van Hook, is all in on sports. So it's when you have that kind of support, you can put some good things together, I think, and that's kind of what's happened here in all sports, really, at College of the Canyons.
And with that, well, with that outstanding pedigree that the college has, it starts with you at the head, but back in '98, or even back further when you scored the first touchdown at Cougar Stadium, ex- explain the I don't want to say the differences, yeah, the differences of starting a program or being one of the first to be on a program in the '70s and then restarting in the '90s. What challenges were different?
Well, I didn't know any difference when I came here, and as a student athlete, um, I got recruited by a lot of schools, and I got to tell, I'll give you 2 names: Larry Risebig and Mike Gillespie. Of course, Mike
Okay.
Gillespie is a baseball coach at SC, and well, at that point, Mike Gillespie was also the quarterback coach here, so he was coaching football in the fall and baseball in the spring, and I was also a baseball player. So those 2 guys came to my house and convinced me to go to a college where all they had at that time at College of the Canyons were trailers. They were all modular buildings. There was no school. And when other coaches would call me and say, "Where are you going?" and I'd say, "I'm going to College of the Canyons," and they'd go, what are you doing?" And I was like, you know what? It just feels right to me. And unbelievably, now I'm sitting here talking to you guys, fast forward 34 years in the business, and I'm sitting here talking to you guys from College of the Canyons. So I can't tell you what a great decision that was. I haven't made a lot of great decisions, but that was one of them.
Well, of course. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say, coaches, the thing that's interesting about you saying you went to College of the Canyons, because even if you talk to people now and you mention your community college and they go, "Where's that at?" Has it been a difficult thing to recruit over the years at College of the Canyons?
It isn't. It isn't. It just isn't. Once we get them on campus and show them around, facilities are first rate. Support groups are first rate. Community is first rate. It really is not hard. I would say over the years, and this is all sports, we probably get about 80% of the kids we recruit, and I think the other 20% we don't get are because they don't think they can play here because we're good, and so getting on the field isn't that easy. And of course, I never promised a kid a position ever. You got to come in and earn it, and so I think that key for us is getting them here, getting them to see it, meeting our athletic counselor Albert Loiza, meeting Dr. Van Hook, meeting Mike Wilding. Len Money was here forever. He was a very personable guy. So I think it's a pretty easy sell if we can get him here. You're right. People really don't know much about the Santa Clarita Valley and, of course, College of the Canyons, but people in Southern California community college athletics sure do.
And you've had a tradition. You mentioned all sports. I was reading in on the website that was it the men's golf team. They're pretty much on consistent runs of like 10 conference championships and 10 conference championships. And the women's golf team has won a conference or a state championship in 2019. And we've seen a lot of schools recruit out of state. And Mark just mentioned, how do you get those people who don't know about College of the Canyons? What Explain just the type of facilities that keep the students there at the local level at College of the Canyons, and also the programs that you have for the student athletes.
We're not a big school for out of state recruiting. It's hard, as you and I both know. It's hard on the families. It's hard on the student athletes. It's hard on the coaches, I can tell you. Now, Gary Peterson, the golf coach for both men and women's, he's a legend. You're right. State championships on both sides, multiple in men's. If you see our rosters, Gary was one of those guys that he had a few guys early, actually international players. And of course, they're over there playing in tournaments against each other, and now he's kind of the Pied Piper of community college golf. He really is in the United States, and internationally recognized this program. And so we get a lot of kids. We get more kids asking to come here. In fact, Gary and I, we've had issue with this because there's only 6 spots on a golf team. And I go, Gary, I know you're getting 100 inquiries, but we can't take 100 men's golfers. We just can't. And I know they want to go to school, and I know they want to come to the United States, but Gary, we can't do that. So I actually capped it a few years ago. Really, yeah, we had to, because he's just that guy. He's that good. And he really does a good job of explaining to the families what the financial burdens are going to be and what the academic burdens are going to be. And we've had good success, obviously. And they matriculate. They move on to the 4-year level. And I think, for me, that's the key to a successful community college program. I don't care what sport it is. It's, are the kids going where they want to go, or at least are they getting a chance to do what they want to do after they leave the community college? Whether that's work, whether that's the skills, whether that's go to college and get a degree, whatever their goal is, we want to make sure that they have a chance to attain it, and that their 2 years or 3 years here at College of the Canyons are productive, and they're getting what they want to get out of it. And that's really what we do.
Chuck, and you bring that up, everybody seems to forget that coaches, athletic directors, deans of athletic are all educators. So what is the basis for College of the Canyons to have such an excellent academic program that's tied with the athletic department, so that those student athletes can get to those next levels and accomplish the dreams that they want to be in the world of engineering, mathematics, medicine, or even following through with being an educator? What programs do you have set in place for them to help them academically?
Well, see, that's when you say that, I get goosebumps, because that's where we hang our hat. Our faculty believe, they truly believe and trust that we are an athletic department that believes in academics first. I've always said, you educate young men and women in 3 ways. You educate them athletically, academically, and socially. And I think all of those are important. On the academic part, the answer to your question is real easy. Dr. Van Hook and College of the Canyons has put their money where their mouth is. We have a full-time athletic counselor just for athletes. We have an academic advisor that works for that full-time athletic counselor in athletes. We have in our TLC, that's our learning center. Our learning center has a full-time mentor for athletics, Matt Crater. Matt Crater works in the TLC, but he works with our head coaches and subsequently all of our athletes on nothing but academics. We require our athletes to be in the learning center 3 hours a week minimum, and we're always setting up study jams and different speakers for them. And so really Albert Loiza and Lauren Anderson and Matt Crater are the 3 individuals, all full-time at College of Canyons, devoted just to the academic success of athletes. And that comes about because of Student Services believes in what we do. Diane Van Hook obviously believes in what we do, and our faculty believes in what we do. And we're not the only program that has these kinds of support groups. I got to tell you that too. And so we're very well positioned to do what we feel, what our goals are in the athletic department, and that's to get them educated.
And you talk about that education. You mentioned socially. We've done a lot of interviews lately speaking to coaches and athletic directors, but I think this is the first time someone's mentioned socially about keeping their student athletes up. And so, explain a little bit more about how that happens. I
Well,
mean, the parents must love it.
let me give you some examples. For me, I coached football a long time. We had a meeting every day before we went into the weight room. We go at 12:30, and it would be a half an hour, 45 minutes, and the subject was never football. It was never school. It was what's going on in the world. I would get phone calls, both good and bad, and I would call them out. Like I would, we would have a student athlete. I'll never forget this. A lady, elderly lady, called me and said, "One of your football players or two of your football players helped me with put my groceries in the car." And of
Okay.
course, I found out who that was. And so we're in the meeting, and I call them out. And I go, "Stand up." I go, "How many times have I told you guys not to wear your shirts in the community?" Kind of messing with it. And I said, "Well, let me give you a good example." And so I call them out, and I go, "That's what I'm talking about. That's that, because we talk about that." And of course, I get those other calls too. I get them from professors when they're not doing things exactly right, and they're not. I get complaints about how they talk to girls, for example. That was always a hot topic, right?
Okay.
And I would say, "Fellas, does this sound like something we should be doing?" And I would explain what I was told on the phone. And then we would talk through it and why that's not acceptable, or maybe a better approach to what you're trying to do here, or what your goals are to take that girl on a date or whatever it was. And it didn't matter what it was. It could be, just like what's going on today with the social injustice. I mean, we would talk about that. We would talk about whatever the current events were of the times. And of course, another way that you socialize them, I think, is you have to take the time to explain their role on this
Okay.
team. If you're not first string or you're not second string, there's a reason. And why is that reason? And what is your role? And how can you help? Because I always used to tell them, your role is going to change, fellas. People are going to get hurt. People are going to move positions. Your role is going to change. I guarantee it. So you need to accept the role as it is today, because it's what's best for the team, knowing your role will change. And so there's I think, and of course, and I live this, a team is the best way to teach individuals about how to be a good employee, employer. I just think teams are the way to go. You can't learn this stuff. You don't learn team anywhere else except on a team. And in athletics, as you know, when you're under pressure and it's fast, personalities come out.
Yeah, and you need that team support. You need that team to really go with you to get you where you want to go.
Sure.
Chuck, being the athletic director and being the dean, and of course, in the many shows that Corey and I have already done this past year, most of the time we're talking to football coaches. Occasionally we will be talking to softball coaches, and we hear it from the softball coaches, that other gender that talks about the department, how they're looked at. So being the leader of your athletic department, is there that young woman or that female in your staff that really is that counterculture to talk to the female gender of your department? Or are you that individual that transcends that gender line very easily? I know it's real easy to talk to the football players, but what about those softball players and the women's basketball team? And how do you message to them about you need to follow up on your education and you need to look into the world of your next step for the four-year university and your career being the athletic director there at College of the Canyons?
Well, I got a couple answers to that. Believe it or not, I was the head women's soccer coach at Pasadena City College when I was there. In fact, they didn't have a program. And the athletic director came to me and said, "Chuck, you're going to start the women's soccer program at Pasadena." I said, "How many go on the field at one time?" That's how much I knew about soccer. That's a true story. And I went and hired Sharif Zain, who was the best clubs coach in the San Gabriel Valley. I'm a recruiting fool. I said, Sharif, just tell me who you want. Get out of the way. I'll get him here. You coach him. I did that for 1 year. We were like 17-2. He did a great job,
Wow.
and I facilitated it. So that was my first introduction to coaching women. And it was a great learning experience for me because I was at all the practices. I was his assistant coach, and I was managing the program, right? And
Okay.
it was what a great learning experience. But we actually have a few here. Lisa Hooper, who was our women's volleyball coach, is now moved over into curriculum. She's very good with our female athletes. Matt Crater, who I mentioned that works in the TLC, Matt is very good. Matt is very good with it. He does a great job with the women. Lauren Anderson, who works as an academic advisor in our counseling department, and he actually works in athletics. She works with them, and then Carol Johnston is our assistant here, right here in the front office, and she is too. So we have quite a group, and I got to tell you, John Wismath is our softball coach. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We call him the
Yeah.
hobo, but he's such a personable guy, and does a great
Yeah, he
job.
is.
So Justin London is our women's soccer coach. So it doesn't seem like, I don't see that. I don't see the gender differences, and maybe I should bet more, but I really don't feel like we have that kind of an issue here. There's somebody to talk to. That I'm sure of, and I'm sure they feel comfortable here, and that's important. That they have somebody to talk to. They feel comfortable on campus. It's a safe campus. They feel safe on this campus. So it's the communication lines are open. That's for
Okay.
sure. Yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned your softball coach. We had an opportunity a few years back to broadcast one of the regionals. College of the Canyons came down to Cyprus, and we talked more about your coach with the parents than we have. I don't know, not too many other teams that we've been able to do that. So yeah, that atmosphere you build and your program builds is extraordinary. And with all of that, we come to the COVID-19 situation. Um, what is the experience and the decision making that went into not having the fall and winter sports play in this delayed schedule that the state provided?
Well, it's been excruciating. I'm in shock, to tell you the truth. I'm desperate to provide positive energy to coaches and to athletes, and it isn't coming. Um, our trainers have done an outstanding job. Sarah and Eric have done an outstanding job they actually built a back to campus plan for our athletics, which we sent to our attorneys, and they vetted
Okay.
everything in it and sent it back to us. I mean, that's, April and her group over there in risk management vetted our return to campus plan, and so we're ready to go. We're ready. Dan Corbett, who does his head of our conditioning here at College of Canyons, has put together a plan for conditioning with COVID-19 in mind. So we weren't sitting here, waiting to see what happened. We put everything in place we could put in place, hoping that it would break the right way for us. Now, the real kicker to this, guys, is that we are in LA County. And
Right.
the state sets the COVID-19 rules, and then the counties have their own set of rules. Well, LA County has their own set of rules for higher education. And that being said, the only classes we have on campus right now are essential infrastructure classes. We only have 200 or 300 students, and they're nursing, EMT, things we have to have, get educated and
Right.
graduate and go to work. That's the only students we're having on campus. Everybody else is distance education, is in remote mode. And that's a county rule. That's not a College of the Canyons rule. And so really, as long as we're in purple, and you guys know the stages, as long as we're in purple, which Southern California now is in purple, everybody, we can't come back to campus. And
Okay.
and I was getting calls, desperate, from student athletes, from coaches. Coach, we got to make a decision. Kids are going to go home for Christmas. Do I come back? What do I do? Can I take my, there's a myriad of questions that everybody's without a lot of answers. Frankly, the answers were tough. So, I did the research. I went to our vice president of facilities. I went to our vice president of instruction. I went to our vice president of student services. I talked to Dr. Van Hook. I talked to Chad Peters, our associate athletic director. We have a coaches meeting every week to discuss this. We have town hall meetings where I'll bring in teams and let them ask questions and express their concerns. And then when we seen the surge, and we had to, the state CCCAA, the California Community College Athletic Association, set a deadline of December 18th for all schools to declare whether they're opting in or opting out. Now, you could opt in or opt out per sport, actually per sport.
Okay.
Well, our coaches got together, and all those vice presidents I just talked to you about, and it was a very clear decision. As much as we hated it, it has to be safety first, right? It has to be, and and I'll just tell you, we had a guy that works with our athletic department 15 days on a ventilator.
Wow.
Yeah, very early on in this. We've had positive cases on campus. I'm sitting on campus right now. I'm on campus every day. I'm by myself because I'm a dean, but I'm down by myself down here in my area. But it has to be safety first. It just has to be. And in talking to our facilities vice president, Jim Shiragi, he goes, Chuck, I don't know how we can keep you safe. I mean, we would have to put so much resources into cleaning up after everything you touch, everything you do, every bathroom we go into, every office we use, every day. And so it became pretty obvious for us that we couldn't keep our student athletes and our faculty and our assistant coaches safe. Now, I'm very aware of what's going on. My son works with the Los Angeles Chargers, and so I know what the NFL is doing. I know what SC and UCLA are doing. The only way we get on a field for fall or spring is to do what SC and UCLA are doing, which is to test daily. NFL is testing daily. To test every other day. The CCCAA put down guidelines that we would have to test high-risk sports 48 hours before every event. Low-risk sports, you would have to test 25 to 50% of them a week.
Wow.
Now just think of the logistics of that. And what happens when you have you're going to have positive cases, right? Because we see what's happening in the NCAA. Look what's happening at the Division I level, where they're on it. They have the money and the resources to test on a daily basis, and they're canceling games right and left. And so when we, as College of the Canyons, when we looked at that, we just felt it was best to suspend, really cancel fall and winter sports at this time. I had a town hall meeting with every student athlete at College of the Canyons last week to announce that and to take questions and to really try to give them something positive out of it. And the positive is going back to what we've been discussing earlier. The positive is you get a year of education, you get a year of maturity, of growth, without losing a year of eligibility in the NCAA world. And so, I tried to spin it with some kind of something positive about it, and that's what I came up with. Because
You,
it's been very difficult.
being around the sport as long as you have, and during these very trying times that are going on, did you and the other deans and college presidents, when you had this meeting to try and figure out, was anybody looking 18 months down the road, 24 months down the road, and saying, okay, this is the model right now for college sports? What do we foresee the model 24 months from now? Is anybody projecting that far down, Chuck, or is everybody just doing it monthly by monthly and crossing their finger when you look into the future as being an athletic director?
Well, our commissioner of the Western States Conference is Jerry White. Jerry's very good. We have meetings. We have meetings Monday mornings, all the athletic directors and the deans that want to be involved in that. And we talk about the shifting of plans and policies on a weekly basis. Now, you need to know that some conferences, like the South Coast, you might have seen, their conference presidents got together and are going to make a decision. LA Community College, their chancellor of the whole district, 11 campuses, I think, is going to make that decision. Ventura County, their commission, their chancellor has 3 campuses: Oxnard, Ventura, and Moorpark. They're going to make a decision for all of them. Western States Conference, which we reside in, every school is making their own determination on what they can host or what they can play, what's feasible, what the budget looks like, what the risk looks like. There are some schools that are gun ho that are ready that they just want to play. They just want to play, and I respect that. I respect that. That's not College of Canyons. That's not where we're at least today. In answer to your question about 24 months or 12 months, nope. Man, it's changed. It's unbelievable. We're hoping, and I told you about the opt-in, opt-out dates. Well, the opt-in, opt-out date for spring sports is February out of 22nd, 24th, right in there. So it's really after the spring semester has already started. We have told our spring sport athletes we will have a decision for you prior to the spring semester starting. So we have to make a decision sometime in the end of January because we start spring semester February 5th, I believe. So every school, and we all live in different places. So like at Allen Hancock, Kim Ensing does a great job there, the athletic director up there. And they have a facility that will test their athletes for free. Well, we don't have. Yeah, exactly. And the CCCAA and colleges are looking into how we can get these, because we have to test these athletes 2 or 3 or 4 times. If it's high risk sports, you have to test them 48 hours before every event.
What would be considered those high-risk sports?
High-risk sports are, I can tell you what they are. They're football, they're basketball, they're football, basketball, volleyball, soccer, most of your fall sports, because our women's volleyball is a fall sport. Am I leaving any out? Football, soccer, basketball, volleyball are the high-risk sports. And then there's low-risk sports would be cross-country and golf and those, which some schools are going to opt out of your high-risk sports and opt into the low-risk sports, which makes sense to me. Interestingly enough, our women's golf team decided not to, the athletes decided not to play.
Oh, okay.
We opted out of women's golf in the fall because the athletes didn't want to. They want to go next year.
Okay, because I wanted to ask, did you see a lot of pushback from the student athletes or even the student athletes' parents with the decision not to play the fall and winter sports? By
the time we made the decision, Corey, it was the writing was on the wall. Not really. They were resigned to the fact that, come on, look what's going on, especially in
Right.
LA County. We're the worst, highest COVID rate in the United States. I mean, it was they really weren't. They were disappointed, no question. We're all disappointed, but I can't tell you that anybody was shocked or surprised by the decision. No, I
Being
think our
Chuck,
timing.
being a young man that's been around the program for so long and doing such a wonderful job the way you've done it, and being associated with a community college that really emphasizes education, how now do you move forward to keep these student athletes at College of the Canyons? I mean, let's be very realistic. Most 17 and 18-year-olds, and I'm going to go back with Corey Neyland, if he was 17 or 18 years old, would say, I came to that community college because, Mark, I wanted to play football or basketball. I wanted to be doing my sports. They want me just to go to school. I'm going to go hang out with my buddies. So how do you convince these young men and young women to continue coming to your community college? And I'm specifically talking athletes to come there if the goal of what I wanted to do was play for you and possibly another championship is not getting offered to me. What are you doing in the athletic department to draw them in to your community college and to convince them this is the place to stay?
Well, Mark, we're not doing that. We're telling them to get your education and move on.
Okay.
And we're not holding anybody back. It's not about wins and losses. It's not. It's about the educational process. So our coaches are working hard to get our kids their AA degrees they need. If they're going to go to a school that needs an AA degree, or to get whatever they need to move to the 4-year level. We're not holding anybody back. So whether they're that talented or not, if somebody else recognizes that talent, if a 4-year school recognizes that talent, we're going to do everything we can to get that kid, to get that student athlete moved to that school. And I've told our coaches, if it shakes out that we don't play athletics in 2021 and we start in fall of 21, right?
Yeah.
Be prepared to have a 90% freshman team. We're starting over. I mean, we're 2-year college. We're community colleges. We're starting over, and I'm okay with that. And College of the Canyons coaches are okay with that as well. And so it goes right back to what I said when we started this. It's what they want. It's not what we want. We're not going to try to hold them here. We're going to try to get them educated and get them out. I think what I've really talked to is I've talked to a lot of parents of high school seniors. To me, those are the student athletes that are really under pressure. They don't have another year of high school. They can't extend their clock. They have to play, and it's unfortunate. And a lot of our student athletes, and I've heard from other athletic directors, well, we'll just go to another state and play. We'll go to Arizona and play. Well, guess what? You and 200 other student athletes, and so now you're going to show up at Arizona and on a baseball team of 200. Guess what? 9 are getting on the field, and it's going to cost money, and it's dangerous. And so I think when they really look beyond that, unless you're an elite player, it's not going to happen. And as you guys know, the Division Ones and the NCAAs and the NAIAs and the Division Twos, those kids are getting relief as well. They're getting a year back as well. And so, they're going to be in school longer, which means there's less opportunity for high school kids or community college kids to really get into that program, right? And so my heart really goes out to those high school seniors and really kids that are in high school right now. That has to be tough.
Yeah, and to speak more on that, do you think more, let's say, higher elite athletes at the high school level would consider the community college route, since there's more, maybe more competition at, like you said, the NAIAs and Division Ones and Division Twos.
Well, I think so. I think you're going to see the community colleges in California get real good next year.
Okay.
I really do. And also, you know, the rules are in place that if you've done a nice job academically in high school, you only have to be at a community college 1 year. You know, you can
Okay.
transfer immediately if you're a qualifier out of high school. And, you know, and we obviously, you can tell in this conversation, if we get a qualifier, we plan on having them one or two semesters and they're out.
Okay.
If they're that good. And so I think what you're going to see, I think you're going to see exactly that, Corey. I think you're going to see kids that are bubble kids that maybe really don't know if they're good enough to play at that next level, to take a year at the community college level before they move on. We'll see.
So with 15 minutes to go, Corey, I'm going to take Chuck a little different direction here.
Wait.
You
Just stay
come from
there. Stay there. Let me get this one in, Mark. Let me get this one in then. So before you go in that direction, I want to.
I mean, you don't know which way I'm going.
Is it about the grade point average?
Well,
What about
it actually has to do with student athletes, Corey, because
Okay.
my thing is to look at being the program that you're in and how much you care about your student athletes. You've been a man that's been around programs that go to the D1, D2, NAIA level. And I look at college athletes in general being taken advantage of over the years. Corey Neyland could tell you, I'm a big promoter to protect the college athletes. What can we do, or what help do you think student athletes of both genders need, maybe at the community college level or at the next level, so that they don't strictly go there, Chuck, to be that professional athlete? I mean, they go there, but they struggle. They there's housing, there's food. What are some of the suggestions, being an athletic director, if somebody came to you and said, hey, how can we improve community college or D1, D2 college atmosphere for student athletes? What might you suggest?
Well, that's a tough one in this respect. When I was coaching, you know, I had a lot of good players. I mean, I had players that absolutely believed they were going to play in the NFL. And you never want to tell a student athlete that your dream is unreachable, right? That's not my job. Now, I can tell you that you're an offensive lineman and you're 6'2" and 220 pounds, the NFL is probably not where you're going to end up. And I'd be very honest, you know, with my assessment, but you don't want to ever tell a young man or a young woman they can't do that, because I've been proven wrong. I've done that, and I've been proven wrong. So I think it starts there. So I think what I would always say is, okay, that's a great goal, but just remember that even if that goal is attained, that's very short-lived as well. And you need something to fall back on. So you need another plan. You need plan A, which is that dream out there. I get that. But you need plan B and maybe even plan C, because life happens. And so I'm going to encourage you to set yourself up for and get something nobody can ever take away from you. And I would tell recruits, I'd say, why are you sitting here? And they'd look at me funny and, you know, well, coach, I don't know. I said, I'll tell you why you're sitting here, because you have something I want. You can play.
Mm-hmm.
And I want a good team, and you have something I want. I said, when you leave here in 2 years, what are you going to have? Well, you're going to have an AA degree, which isn't going to get you a job, but it's probably going to get you to somebody who's going to come in here and want you to play again for 2 more years. But what happens when you're done with that guy or that girl?
Mm-hmm.
Now what do you have that somebody wants? You're going to have a piece of paper that says, I know how to do this. I'm proficient in this, whether it's medical, sociology, psychology, I don't care what it is. You get that degree, and then you go on and get another degree, and now you have something they can never take away from you. Blow your knee out, you're done. Get hurt, you're done. But a degree they can never take away from you. And so go ahead, chase your dreams. But at the same time, have something else that you're going to have for life. And that's what I would that's what I would tell them on that end. Now, what can we do as community colleges or colleges in general to make it to have more success at what we're trying to do? That's a very difficult question, Mark, because of resources. Come on, you're UCLA. I'll tell you what, there's no reason to fail. There is just no reason. It has to be on you. In fact, student athletes at College of the Canyons, I know you're a good athlete because you wouldn't be here if you weren't, but you're probably not a great student or you wouldn't be here either. And so you've got to attack your weaknesses. And I have people in place. I have Matt Crater and I have Lauren and I have Albert and I have your coaches and your assistant coaches that are going to give you every opportunity to succeed in the classroom. And if you fail, it's on you, not on me. Don't have your mom call me because you didn't pass your classes. I can't go to class for you. I can't do your work for you, and I can't take your tests. So if you fail, you know who it's on. So I'm obviously very straight up with that.
Yeah.
But having resources is a school by school. It's a district by district. We happen to be in a single college district, which I think helps. I mean, LA Community College District, you know, they're spread thin. I can't imagine what that budget looks like. We're College of the Canyons. We're in Santa Clarita Community College District. We have 2 campuses, but we're one district. So we have a few more resources than most. I'm very appreciative of that. Now at the next level, and I'll tell you another thing that really hurts at our level is that alumni groups are not very strong.
Yeah. Okay.
They're just historically, and maybe just because I'm not very good at it, but our alumni group is just not very strong. It's just we don't get a lot of donations to the athletic department. It didn't happen when I was at Pasadena City College. It hasn't happened here. It's not horrible. I'm not going to tell you it's horrible, but we don't get the $4 million donations to go build a football stadium. That the division, big time division, the Power Five get. And we all face that. We all face that. The NAIAs, the Division Twos, the 1AAs, and that's why none of them are playing right now. If you notice, none of them are playing. Nobody but the Power Fives and the Division Ones are playing. They can't afford it. Frankly, if you want to know the truth.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because every time we talk to a former athlete from the community college level, they always talk about the impact that the community college program had on them or whatever school they went to. Yet you talk about the alumni and it's just not as strong. So find that interesting that it doesn't happen. Hopefully soon it'll get more traction. But I wanted to go back to the educational portion about the grade point average. Read online on your site about the 85 students who graduated from the student athletes that matriculated from there, even through the disruptions of COVID. Is that something, well, you know it's something, but is it something is that the best part of COVID, this situation right now, seeing those students still succeed?
Well, no, there's no best part. And I'll tell you why. They're struggling with distance education. I mean, I don't know if you've ever taken an online class. Especially a class that's not synchronous. In other words, you don't go Tuesday, Thursday at 9:30. You don't get into a routine. Here's your work. Finish it in a week. Do it whenever you want and turn it in. And obviously our teachers, and we have a great faculty here, but we all had to relearn education, right? Some teachers love face-to-face contact. I was one of them. To relearn how to teach in a remote environment, in a distance education environment, there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve for the faculty member as well as there's a learning curve for the student. So don't think we haven't struggled, because we have. And we're struggling. And our grade point averages are going to go down. I'm sure of it. They have to. But we're doing
Okay.
everything we can to support them and to relearn how to learn in an environment that we're really not used to. You know, athletes they like hands-on. They like in
Right.
your face. You know, they like immediate feedback. Come on, Corey, you and I both know that.
And
We were
yeah,
both,
and that's
you know,
one of the things that
how
you
to
need.
go. You know, you want that immediate feedback, and you don't get that all the time in distance education. And so
Right.
this is tough. This is tough. In
And you
fact,
talk
we're
about the
finishing up our fall semester this week, and we've had meetings about we're really anxious to see how our kids did in the fall semester, to see where our grade point averages come in.
and the education or the support you have for the students is tremendous. What type of support do you have for the educators, for the teachers? Are they the same group dynamic that you can they have an outlet to speak to?
Oh yeah, we are again. You know, if you've ever met our chancellor, Dr. Van Hook, this is not a college you come to and sit around. Um,
Right.
it's you get here, it's time to go, and the
Okay.
answer is yes, and we can do this, and we will do this, and we will do this well. And that is the philosophy, and that is the culture of College of the Canyons. And the head of our online education, James, does a great job. I mean, this guy's a world renowned at this. He was one of the founders. So we're good at it. Now, as you and I both know, I have weaknesses. We all do, right? And it's important to
Right.
know your weaknesses, you know. And so I'm sure some of our instructors, this is not easy for them. This is hard, and it's going to show. It is definitely going to show. So I just think it's new. I hope it goes away pretty quick. We've already made the decision to be in distance education mode for the spring semester.
Okay.
We've already made that decision. So um, we're in it to win it again for one more semester, and we're praying that the vaccine comes through and we start seeing it widely disseminated, hopefully to the general public by maybe March, April, May, I would hope, so that we would have a chance to get our summer programs running again and to be back to work in the fall. That's the plan.
Well,
Right.
Corey, all I've
And
got
we
to
hope
say
that
is,
plan
first of
goes.
all, I want to thank you very much for caring so much about your students. You really do. And Corey, really appreciate educators and institutions that care. For those listeners and watchers out there that have never gone to a community college game, if you get an opportunity, yeah, College of the Canyons has a home advantage when we start playing again. It's one of the toughest drives from Orange County. And if the weather is cold, and you're a broadcaster and you're sitting on that cement outside the broadcast booth,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
tough game to call, and it's an even longer ride home if your team loses. But it's one of the places to go. It's a magnificent place. I have to give a shout out. I don't know if she's still there. I used to, many years ago, date the young woman that used to be head of your dance program. Her maiden name was Levy, Shannon Levy at College of the Canyons. It is a
Really?
miraculous, yes, it's a fantastic community college. I can't do enough for what you've done for all your student athletes. And I just wish that you'll be around for the next 20 years to help those young students that want to go to great community college. You'll be there to guide them. Corey, I'm going to get out of the way because it's been a pleasure to be on the air with this excellent athletic director and dean over at the College of the Canyons.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mark speaks the truth about those trips. I mean, from 2004 to 2008 might have been the best 4 years of football between College of the Canyons and Fullerton that we've been able to call. And then most recently, because we remember the J.J. Arringtons and the Ayo Carpenters and the Fred Whip. Yeah, we remember those trips and outstanding. Coach, is there anything you want to leave us with before we get on out of here tonight?
No, I would like to say I appreciate what you guys do. To have a platform to discuss really all things athletics, I mean, this is my life. This is what I do. This is what I wanted to do from a very young child. I've been blessed. Um, I've told people, anybody that listen, I've never worked a day in my life, man. This is fun. This is good stuff. And so to come here and to be with you two gentlemen tonight, I hope people are watching. I hope they get the word. I hope they understand that community colleges in general really do a great job in education. We're one of the biggest um, systems in the world. The California community colleges were huge, over 100 campuses. And it's about education. It's about getting people to fulfill their dreams and to find out what their dreams are and to grow. And come on, we all know. Come on, we were all that 18 to 22. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
That's a tough age.
yeah.
That's a tough age. And to have people like Larry Risebig and Mike Gillespie in my corner, they absolutely steered me in the right direction, and I can't thank them enough. And they're the reason I'm sitting here today. I mean, College of Canyons is the reason I'm sitting here today. So I've been blessed. I've been here since '98 full time, and my first coaching job was in '77 with them, and I'm not going anywhere. This is home.
Yeah, please don't
Thank you,
go
fellas.
anywhere. Two legends of the game. Oh, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. You two legends of the game. You're a legend in the game. And it's one of those things. This is why we appreciate you, because you love being an educator. And so Chuck Lyon, Dean of Physical Education at College of the Canyons and an athletic director, thank you. For Mark Pavlovich, Ed Ford, I am Corey Neyland. And once again, you've been watching the show on SportsNetUSA.net.